So, you want to eat like a fat ass and still get lean? Let me tell you how to do that. Isn't this fucking awesome, dude? Look at fucking AI, man. Shit's fucking crazy. Anyways, let's go. Oh my, every time. Here we go. Let's move my ass down here. This is a fucking tradition. Let's go. This will be a quick one. This will be a quick one. All my other videos in the past are like fucking hour long, like full on yap sessions, like deep dives into crazy shit. This one should be a little easy one, but still gonna provide you guys with some value. So, first things first, we gotta cover some things. First of all, where most people go wrong here is they take a cheat meal and they turn that into a fucking cheat day or a cheat weekend where they eat back every single calorie that they were in a deficit for over the week or over previous multiple weeks and just ruin all their progress. And then, yeah. So stop doing that. Stop eating a fat fuck as a rodeo. Sorry, but stop making it a cheat day. Just make it a cheat meal. And better yet, stop calling it a cheat meal. What I like to call it is a free or flexible meal. You can call it an off-plan meal if you want as well, but it's not off-plan if you include it in your plan, so I don't really like that term. And just because other people use it, so I wanted to make my own, even though other people use this one as well, so fuck you. But yeah, man, we're going to have a free or flexible meal. This is something that I actually used with some clients and that I've used myself in the past. And it can be a great tool for adherence. There's actually research on this, which I'm going to talk about on the next slide. But yeah, I make videos about this all the time on short form. If you guys watch me over there, which you definitely do if you're watching this. So you know I always talk about if you want to sustain your diet long term, then you need to have some form of enjoyment. And this is a way that you can do that. It can get tricky and we're gonna get into that. But the main idea here is that well, I'll save that for after. But we want to enjoy ourselves, and it's good to, especially like if you're somebody who has a significant other, or if you like to go out with your friends, whatever it is, with your family, this could just be a great way to do that and still get to spend that time with people and enjoy yourself and make memories, whatever, and still include it in your plan and still have it be conducive to your goals, which is a very important thing, which you'll see here. So this paper, I don't even know if you guys can see this thing I'm dragging over. If you can, then you're probably like, what are you talking about, man? And if so, then I was just dragging my balls across the screen. Don't worry. Okay, shut up, dude. It wasn't funny in the slightest. Anyways. Oh, wait, I gotta move myself too. Okay, so this is from this paper, both of these things, this little image here. It's pretty tough. I'm not even gonna lie, I didn't read through this whole paper. I read through some of it, though. It's a very interesting read. I got this straight from the abstract, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really got time to read through all that right now, unfortunately. A motherfucker is quite busy, let me tell you. But we're pumping these out still. Anyways, so obviously you can read the title here and figure out what the fuck this article is about. But I thought this quote was awesome. So it says, when framed as a goal-directed behavior, let me speak better. Let me emphasize my words better. Sorry. When framed as a goal-directed behavior, positive influences of ad libitum intake on eating behaviors such as reducing feelings of hunger and enhancing satisfaction were notable. However, the analysis revealed that framing cheat meals as contradictory to one's goals or normalizing cheat meals as a form of reward for committing to a strict dietary regimen could be associated with the manifestation of eating disordered behaviors. And this is 1000% true. That's why it's a very tough subject, and there's a very fine line that you have to draw here. You just got to be smart about it, and we're going to talk about some ways to do that. But yeah, so this is why I don't like calling it a cheat meal, because that insinuates that it's a negative thing and that it's contradictory to your goals. And or if you treat it like this, if you're like, I just got to suffer through the week, and then if I'm good, then I get to reward myself with a fucking cheat meal. Like, that just doesn't sound right. Even though that is kind of the premise of it. Either way, like, let's just try not to view it like that. Just try to view it as like, this is just something that I get to do as a part of my plan. And if it motivates you to eat well during the week, which is the whole point of it, then that's great. Just try not to view it as like in this sense, because like it says, that will lead to disordered eating type of behaviors, and we do not want that. Anybody who's dealt with that knows how big of a problem that is, and yeah, you don't want to get there. But you can see here, when it's framed as goal-directed behavior, then it improves all these different things, and that's exactly what we want. So we want to view this as something that is going to help us achieve our goals, because one, we're going to fit it into our plan and make it conducive to our goals, which we'll talk about on the next slide. And we're, like I said, it's going to be a part of our plan. So yeah, I'm talking like an idiot right now. Forgive me. I don't script these, obviously, so I'm kind of an idiot. But yeah, you're good, bro. Let's go. So this is the ideal scenario for how we're actually gonna fucking fit this into our plan. The ideal scenario is you're just gonna fit it into your macros. Follow the if it fits your macros approach. You guys know that I don't like this for most people, but when I'm saying that, it's mostly directed at people who are trying to get the best results possible, and like it's very nuanced. Like it can be beneficial, especially just for like one meal a week, like in this case, obviously. But when you make every meal an if it fits your macros type of thing, or every day an if it fits your macros type of thing, then it can get tricky because then you're just probably eating shit, and that's not good for a lot of reasons, obviously. But in this case, I think it's the best approach because this way we don't even have to do anything. We don't have to increase our expenditure or pull back calories beforehand or anything like that. We literally just fit the meal into our macros, and you don't even have to fucking think about it. You just have to plan ahead, like look at the menu and pick something out, and then just plan it the night before or whatever, and plan the rest of your meals accordingly, and bang. And some tips to help you do this is delay your first meal. I do this every single day regardless. I wake up at 7 most days, and I don't eat my first meal until like 11 or 12 majority of days. And that's while I'm not even cutting really. When I'm cutting, like I'll sometimes push that back to like fucking 2 o'clock, like however many hours that is of fasting. That helps me. Like once I start eating, that's when I get hungry, and the longer that I have between meals, the more hungry I get, and the more likely I am to overeat, because I always preach the hunger scale. You can look that up, the hunger fullness scale. I like to try to stay between like a 3 and a 7, basically meaning I don't want to get so full that I'm like feeling sick for obvious reasons, but I also don't want to get so hungry that I'm just like ready to eat fucking anything and just shove every ounce of food down my fucking throat and fucking choke on it. Okay, I don't know, but yeah, so having more frequent meals with less time in between can be a great way to do this. And what allows me to do this is pushing my first meal back, because it's also just easier to continue the fast from overnight, whether it's because of ketosis, because of increased levels of ketones in the blood, or if it's because of different concentrations of cortisol, possibly testosterone, etc. These levels are going to change throughout the day, adenosine, etc. These are all going to play factors, and how much those are actually influencing this, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. All I know is that it works extremely well for me. It's super easy to fast like first thing in the morning than it is to start eating and then try to just be hungry throughout the day, if you understand what I'm saying. This also helps you sleep better because you avoid that hunger at night that's going to impact your sleep and make you more likely to cheat on your diet and go crazy and binge at night when willpower is at its lowest. So yeah, just delay that gratification. I think it's a great fucking, like an awesome tool, but especially in this case, if you know that you're going to have a bigger meal at night, this is just an awesome way to ensure that you're able to do that and you're able to deal with that hunger beforehand, because you're going to have to sacrifice something. You can't just be a fat fuck the whole day and expect to stay on plan. Like, I could tell you, like, this is what I do if I'm going to eat out with people, which I very rarely do, but when I do, this is what I do. And like over the holidays, on Christmas Day and stuff, Christmas Eve, whatever, Thanksgiving, this is what I did. I literally just delayed my first meal as much as possible, assuming I wasn't training. If I was, then I would just eat a meal before that and then maybe push back whatever, like push back my post-workout meal, whatever I have to do. But the main thing I would do is I would limit my fat and carbs. I would just try to basically eat protein. So for me, this would just look like maybe a Greek yogurt bowl with like minimal toppings, whatever, and just like literally just like meat and vegetables, meat and fruit, which is basically the majority of my diet anyways. But I wouldn't have things like maybe like rice and whatever else you guys eat. I would save those for the actual meal because those are typically going to be high in fat and carbs and calories. So we want to save those for the meal itself. And front loading your protein just makes it so that you just get your protein in and you don't have to worry about it, because depending on what you're eating, it can be hard to get your protein in. So just front loading it just ticks off that box, and it's going to keep you more full and save you calories, give you more room to play with at your actual meal. So yeah, those are easy things you can do, super easy stuff you can do. Another huge thing that I would definitely recommend is to just move more. If you know you're going to eat more one day, this is what I recommend to clients. If you know you're going to eat more one day for whatever reason, just move more. Just get some extra steps. Now, where this gets tricky is people will use this as cope for one, or they will focus too much on it and they will try to calculate like how many calories they're burning and try to fit that into their plan. But the problem with this is that it just isn't that simple. Your body is not that simple. I just explained this in one of my check-ins to one of my clients in depth, but basically, if let's say you eat more, so you increase your intake and therefore you move more to try to increase your expenditure to counteract that, by increasing your expenditure, your body is likely going to downregulate its expenditure in other areas. Sorry, I don't know why I just had a brain fart there. Like, if I move more, that's exercise activity thermogenesis for you fucking nerds out there, then your body will likely try to downregulate its non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That can be things like fidgeting, how many calories you burn while you're sleeping or while you are just sitting and moving about your day. Some people will include walking, like some papers will include walking as part of non-exercise activity thermogenesis. Some will include it in exercise activity thermogenesis. It doesn't matter. It's just semantics. Either way, it's complicated, and your body is not just this like it is calories in, calories out, but your body has multiple ways to regulate that system, and it wants to regulate that system. It wants to maintain what's called homeostasis, which is basically just like the balance of things. So you have a range of, like, if we use your blood sugar, for example, you have an ideal range of blood sugar that your body likes to maintain, a homeostatic range. And when you exceed that range, either on the high end or on the low end, that's when your pancreas will secrete glucagon or insulin to either increase or decrease your blood sugar and get it back to homeostasis. And the same thing applies for calories and maintaining your body fat, your weight, etc. That's why when you are cutting and you're getting super lean, your body will try to fight you in many different ways to get you to eat more. It'll also fight you in the sense that it will downregulate your expenditure, like I said. There's adaptive thermogenesis as well. There's different definitions for that, so I don't really want to get into that. But basically, it's not that simple, and eventually your body will adapt. So you might notice, like, you can go a couple days where you increase your steps. Maybe you get like 20,000, 30,000 steps a day, and you eat like a shit ton of calories, and you don't gain weight, and you're like, holy fuck, dude, like, this is fucking awesome. Like, I get to be a fat fuck, and I just have to walk a lot. That is true to an extent, but you'll probably notice that after a couple days, maybe a couple weeks, the scale might start creeping up, even though you didn't change anything, and you're like, what the fuck? And that's because your body is gonna change something to try to fight you, basically, in very simple terms. So just being aware of that and understanding that when it's actually in this context where it's just one meal, maybe it's once a week, and it's just an acute overfeeding matched with more and increased expenditure, then you likely don't have to worry about any of this. And same idea goes for just overeating in general. We have some papers showing, like, I believe they had subjects eat a 1,500 calorie surplus for 3 days in a row, and they gained like no fat, at least relative to what you would expect based on those numbers, basically insinuating the same things that I'm explaining here. So you don't have to stress about it. The problem is that people will use that as cope, and then eventually, like I said, your body is going to adapt to it, and then at that point, you're going to get fat eventually. So you just got to be smart about it. Don't be a dumbass, and you're going to be fine. But yeah, and then another thing you can do here is you can try calorie banking. Now, what this actually is basically you would just eat in a deficit during the week. Let's say your maintenance calories is 2,800, then maybe you eat 2,600 during the week, like Monday through Friday, and then, or let's say Sunday through Friday, because ideally you wouldn't do this multiple days. So you have 2,600 Sunday through Friday. That's 6 days of being in about a 200 calorie deficit. So that leaves you with about a 1,200 calorie deficit now. So you could technically go, depending on what your goal is, if your goal is maintenance, then you could go and eat in a 1,200 calorie surplus. So in this case, that would be like 4,000 calories on one day. And that would then equate to weekly maintenance. Like I explained a second ago, it's not that simple because your body's going to be adapting, and your maintenance is also always fluctuating. So it's not that simple, and I wouldn't worry too much about the actual numbers like that. The best thing you can do here is just track your weight and just make sure you're on top of this and tracking the averages, because it's going to fluctuate regardless, especially when you're changing food volume and different factors like this. But as long as you're tracking the trends over time and you're trending in the right direction depending on your goals, then you're all good, and you just have to adjust the plan accordingly. If you overeat a little bit and you gain a little bit of fat, it's not a big deal at all. Like, fat is neither here nor there, is what my coach has said. Sometimes I actually fuck with that a lot. You can always lose it. You can always cut if you have to. The problem with that mindset is that people will use it as cope, and you'll use it to justify your actions and negotiate with yourself. Like, it's fine, I can just get fat now and then I'll just cut, or I'll just restrict myself during the week. And that's also where this becomes a problem, is if you are actively restricting yourself during the week just to then like get to go off plan or whatever. Like I already explained it, that's not off plan, but however you want to view it, that can be tricky. That can lead to binge eating type behaviors, which we do not want. Go watch my last video for more on that, but just be careful with this approach. I've done this in the past, and this is actually my preferred approach because I am someone who is prone to overeating. So just aiming for a slight deficit rather than for maintenance or for even a slight surplus typically ends up with me maintaining my weight. And if it doesn't, if I'm locked in and I'm really sticking to the plan, then I get to lose some weight and I'll just increase the calories if I have to from there. But in most cases, the vast majority of people are gonna underestimate how much they eat, and they're gonna underreport how much they eat. And that's probably why you're not losing as much weight as you want. So just playing it safe and trying to be on the safe side can be a good approach. And it also just leaves you room if you want to go out to eat with your friends on Friday nights or have date night or whatever it is. Like I said, I've done this in the past and it's worked great. It's also a problem. It can be a problem in the sense that you want to make sure you're fueling your training during the week, so you don't want to necessarily be in a deficit, especially not a big one. If you're just in a small deficit, it probably won't matter. So it can be valid, but again, a lot of nuance here. So you just have to kind of experiment and just kind of see how you actually respond to these things and what works best for you from an adherence perspective, as well as a performance and just general overall approach, because everybody's different in terms of what they enjoy, what they can stick to, how their body reacts, et cetera, et cetera. So you just got to do some experimentation and figure out what works for you. That's the game here. For trying to get lean and trying to stay lean, the game is just figuring out what habits actually work for me, what systems work for me to allow me to do this as easily as possible, because not everyone is okay. Woo! Okay, sorry. This is what I do when I'm fucking... Okay, shut up, dude. Nobody's the same, so you just gotta experiment and see what works. Same thing with your training. Same approach there. You gotta experiment with different programs and different things and see what works best for you, what you enjoy most, what gives you the best results, and move from there. Pretty simple stuff. Fuck you. You're good, bro. Okay. Sorry, I'm just kidding. You're awesome. I don't know. So another thing is that these free flexible meals, whatever the fuck you want to call them, I don't give a fuck what you call them, but they can cause digestive problems sometimes, especially if you're like me. My gut seems to be quite sensitive to shit, and when I'm eating shit, whatever that shit might be, whether it's like something from the store that I wouldn't usually get, or if it's something from a restaurant that I wouldn't usually get, if it's certain things, whatever the fuck, it doesn't matter. That can cause digestive problems for me. I actually haven't tried these, but I know that there can be some merit to them, and people a lot smarter than me have said this. I don't actually know if there's research on this, so I might have to look into that, to be honest, but it might be something worth checking out, just getting a digestive enzyme supplement, and then just taking that on these days to try to mitigate or prevent any potential problems that might affect your quality of life, might affect your sleep, might affect your training the next day or on the day, etc. So might be something worth doing. And then use the shit to your advantage. If you're having higher carbs, higher calories, use that shit to your advantage and have a good workout the next day or on the day if you're working out that day, which I would typically recommend not doing that. Like in most cases you're going to have this meal at night, and I probably wouldn't train after that unless you have enough time to actually digest it. But like I said, you're probably going to have digestive problems, and your pre-workout meal is the last time that you want that. So I typically wouldn't recommend that. I would train the next morning is probably the best approach, or the next day in general. Use it to your advantage. Have a great workout the next day. Get a good pump. Feel strong. Feel energized. Whatever. Use it as cope and call it a refeed. Please be careful with that, though. Seriously, I know it's a meme right now, but we all joke about these things because we actually I'm not gonna say we because I don't know what the fuck you guys do, but I know that most people will actually negotiate with themselves like this and will actually say these things to themselves, and you actually get yourself to believe it sometimes. Like, as stupid as it is, our brains are fuckers, man. They fuck us over sometimes. They trick us, man. They trick us into fucking ordering the whole fucking menu and pigging out or whatever the fuck, or just being an idiot. So just gotta make sure you're not doing that. Gotta make sure you're being honest with yourself and trying to be as objective as possible and realizing when you're trying to get tricked and stuff. But yeah, and then might be the biggest thing here is just get back on plan after. It's really not that deep. Like I said, an acute overfeeding is really not a big deal. And obviously the more frequent that becomes, that's when it becomes a problem. And that's why getting back on plan afterwards and not stressing about it and not fucking restricting yourself after or doing anything like that is going to be the best thing you can do here. We just want to prevent this from turning into a cheat day or cheat weekend or anything like that. And another thing that I just thought of is, as I was saying before, you probably want to have this meal like at night. Another reason that's good is because if you've ever tried this, like if you ever tried having maybe like a cheat meal for lunch, I said cheat meal just because it's easy, but if you have this meal for lunch, you'll probably find that it's pretty hard to lock in after that and eat like whatever your normal meals are. Ideally, you're going to like your normal meals, which I always fucking preach about. But if you're going back home and eating your fucking meal preps like chicken, rice, and broccoli, like it's going to be pretty hard to lock in. You're probably going to be craving some shit and likely to just say fuck it and call it a refeed and start over tomorrow. So having that meal later in the day, climbing that dopamine ladder in case you guys are tapped in, basically like trying to actually work hard and kind of work for this reward. You got to be careful with that, like the paper suggested, but hopefully you guys get what I'm saying. Like that can be a good idea. Just be smart about it, please, is the whole idea here. But yeah, so to recap all this is a pretty short one. 25 is still pretty long, but I'll probably speed it up. Anyways, just don't be a fucking dumbass. Find a way to fit it in your plan. Try to fit it in your macros if you can. Just don't be like this fucking guy here. I fucking love this guy. I used to watch this dude like all the fucking time when I was at my leanest, when I was cutting, etc. But I highly recommend that you don't watch shit like this, and I highly recommend that you don't glorify food like this, because that will lead you to binge eating and to idolizing food, which is a sin, and is gonna lead you to gluttony, and which is also a very big sin and a very big problem that not enough people talk about, and is probably the biggest thing that I struggle with as a Christian, as somebody trying to improve themselves. So I try to cut out any shit like this. I don't watch anything like that. I don't watch any food content on Instagram or TikTok. I hit not interested on all that shit. I call it food porn, and I highly recommend that you stop watching that shit. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't even try to like think about this type of stuff. It's hard when you're cutting because the cravings are going to be there, but I try to just, when the thought comes up, I don't even think about it. Also understand, sorry, I'm all over the place here, but I was just talking to one of my fucking friends about this, but the thought of this food is almost always better than the actual meal itself. Like maybe going to the store and getting all this shit, which I've definitely done, not to this degree, but like pretty bad. Like that shit is so, you get a high from it, but actually eating this shit it's not even enjoyable, especially when you're just stuffing your face and you feel fucking disgusting. Think about how bad you're going to feel afterwards rather than how exciting you think it's going to feel. And majority of the time you're going to be disappointed anyways. So just save yourself the time, save yourself the disappointment, and just don't be a fucking idiot. And a man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without its walls. That's Proverbs for you. Let me spit some more game on you guys. If you guys want more content like this, let me know. But this is how I'm able to try to control myself and kind of reestablish my relationship with food and stop fucking being gluttonous, etc. But let me try to think of some more scripture. A man who loves pleasure will not be rich. He who loves wine and oil will be a poor man. Something like that. Same idea there. A man who loves pleasure will not be rich. Simple as that. There's so many other ones I could spit. I gotta start talking like about this on my Instagram stories. I'm gonna start doing that. I want to be more open about my faith. But anyways, if you made it to the end, I fucking love you for real. Hopefully this was helpful. Seriously, comment what the fuck you want to see next, because I struggle with what to post on YouTube. I try to pump out at least one video a week. I really want to start doing like IRL shit. I'm not gonna lie, I've been watching Keenan stuff. I fucking love Keenan. I feel like a fucking loser like you guys. Sorry. But I'm assuming a lot of you guys watching this are probably younger. you probably watch Keenan if you are. And I'm just saying that in the sense that like you guys are young, you're probably in school, and you probably don't have too much going on yet. But anyways, I don't even know where I'm going with that. I'm going on a tangent. The point is that I've been watching that shit, and it's making me want to start recording my workouts and start doing IRL stuff and like just recording in the car or whatever. I don't know, man. I don't know what the future holds. I really want to do that shit, but I'm just scared that nobody's gonna watch it because even these videos don't get that many views, and I'm just providing free value for you guys. So I feel like if I'm just trying to entertain you guys, like people aren't gonna watch it. But that's also just me being a loser, and I don't know. I just got to build a better community and get people to buy into my life, and maybe this is the way to do that, which is my goal. But yeah, so I worked out last night. Sorry, last fucking tangent here. There's no way anybody's watching or listening to me anymore. But I worked out last night, late at night for the first time in like months, and it's because my boss fucking texted me at 7 in the morning asking me to pick up a shift. I was gonna work out at my normal time like I normally would, which is early in the day, so I can have caffeine and everything and just get it done with. But I ended up training at like 7. Friday night, the gym was pretty dead, especially towards the end, and it just made me want to record and like actually bring my mic and like maybe do Q&As between sets or just talk. I don't know. It's going to be very uncomfortable for me because I've never done anything like that, but I want to try it and I want to get out of my comfort zone and I want to fucking, yeah, I just want to branch out. So whatever you guys want to do, if you guys would actually watch that, please just let me know. Just comment below, but also just comment what you want to see. Comment what videos like this do you want me to see, like what things you want me to cover. If you guys want me to get into like more stuff about like breaking bad habits and like more stuff like that, I don't really know how to describe it, but I'm very passionate about that, and you've probably seen a lot of my content recently has been around stuff like that. So if you guys want more stuff like that, it's not necessarily fitness specific, but just like general improvement, because I'm very passionate about that. If anybody would watch that, let me know. But yeah, man, like, comment, subscribe, share, all that bullshit. Apply for coaching I'll put it in the description probably if you want. I'll help you out. But yeah, man, fucking peace out, I think. Yeah, sure. Okay, I don't know.